This is Eye ForeSight.com, podcast series number 1, part 6 of 8.
We are the writers of the future.
We are the writer of the future. Podcast 1, part 6 of 8, by Eye ForeSight. Part 6, Chapter 12 and Chapter 13. Chapter 12, The Gatekeepers of the Establishment.
12. The Gatekeepers of the Establishment.
We are the gatekeepers of our prison. We wear mental and spiritual chains in a prison without walls. We are the ones co-creating these 5 senses of reality through our consensus. We accept looking at the event walls and watching it plays out in the effect. We refuse to look at the source of causation.
The gatekeepers are us, ourselves, family, friends, neighbors, and all the snitches and thought police around the corner. We police each other to follow the narratives of the dark force.
Evil needs our consent. Ignorance and apathy are the mental diseases of consensus. I don't know, and I don't care, are the attitude of consensus. We co-create this collective reality together with our behaviors of either the do-nothing default or the reactionary to an external event. The truth of why we consent to evil is in the causation. Without knowing the why, we have no power to change our destiny. Without the truth of the why, we will continue to stay in ignorance, and we will breed ignorance, and ignorance will breed evil. We cannot change the destiny of our enslavement when we live in ignorance and apathy.
Teachers indoctrinate their students to believe in the poisonous ideologies coming from the religion of government. They do it either through their willful actions, out of apathy for their actions, or out of pure choice to be ignorant. Doctors prescribe ineffective medical treatments and/or prescription drugs to their patients. They do it either out of willful actions, out of apathy for their actions, or out of their pure choice to be ignorant.
Religious leaders teach their believers to accept evil actions from authorities and/or demigods. They instill fear of an imaginary punishment from an egoistic God. And the believers must wait for a savior to come and rescue them. These cowards and charlatans have swayed their flocks away from true spirituality, either out of willful actions for their egoistic gains, out of apathy for their actions, or out of their pure ignorance of the wisdom of truth, spiritual laws, and cosmos ethic.
The most immoral behaviors of the gatekeepers of the establishment are performed by the order followers, the enforcer of man-made immoral laws. These people are the vilest souls, and they keep this evil establishment in power. They protect the ruling psychopaths. They are the military, the police, the secret agents, the ranking files officials, etc.
The 1% ruling parasitic psychopaths refer to these useful idiots as their house slaves or their attack dogs. These house slaves were the responsible hands that executed more than 500 million civilians in the 20th century. They carried out the order of their ruling psychopaths. They mass murdered civilians by way of either direct execution or enforced inhumane rules and regulations that resulted in the death of millions.
These attack dogs are protecting, and are willing to die for their psychopath leaders. They enforce the lockdown of humanity's spiritual progress. Unknowingly they lock themselves and their families from spiritual progress as well.
The order followers are the attack dogs that bombed the entire city into debris. Being the house slaves that executed the deed, they have more karmic consequences than the dark masters that give the order. The blood weighs heavy on the one that manifested the evil action into the physical world. The soldiers that bombed the cities have more consequential karmic blood on their hands. The IRS agents that enforce income taxes upon the people are the ones doing the extortion. The legislators, who wrote unjust laws against the natural right of humans, would have less karmic consequences than the police officers who manifested the violence against the natural rights of others.
The police officers arresting a person based on a man-made law of victimless crimes are the ones stealing the sovereign right of their fellow human. These agents of the state are the enabler of evils. They would never admit their immoral oppressive actions against humanity. They would delegate their evil action as just doing my job, and they would blame it on the politicians as the responsible party. These order followers see themselves as victims of the system because they need the jobs to feed their families, and their excuses are that the politicians in power are responsible for giving out the orders.
They also believe that they will never be brought to justice as a criminal because it is the politicians that made the laws and they are just enforcers of artificial laws. The law of karma. You reap what you sow. What they do to others will come around to them as well.
When they take away the rights of others to be free, they are taking away the rights of their family, their children, and grandchildren as well to live in a free world. These are the consequences of karmic law.
The belief in authority is the most dangerous superstition. Consenting to an authority's legalized injustice is an immoral act, that is an act of violence against the law of true morality, which is the cosmic law of the universe. Check out the book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, written by Larkin Rose.
When we support and enforce laws that are not based on truth and natural rights, we create a prison wall of slavery upon ourselves that we cannot see the bars.
When we accept a system of slavery, we can never be free to co-create with aggregate minds for an empowering world of love and beauty, and as long as we choose not to be responsible for our action of accepting slavery, the stranglehold of slavery will continue.
Government is slavery, and accepting the religion of government, as our cultural religion, inevitably begets the destruction of freedom.
The use of violence to enforce man-made laws is not in alignment with the true laws of creation. Governments always use violence to enforce immoral laws upon citizens and create criminals out of honest individuals. When artificial laws are created, the crimes have no victims. It is a victimless crimes. The agents of the state are the ones doing the violence against the individuals. The victims are the individuals who want the government to leave them alone. What is a real crime? A crime must involve aggression against rights, and involve someone getting hurt. A real crime must always involve the loss of freedom, the loss of rights.
A real crime must always involve theft. The theft of life, murder. The theft of free sexual association, rape. The theft of property, robbery. The theft of physical safety, assault. The theft of security in one's residence, trespass. The theft of free will, coercion. The theft of information, intentional misinformation to cause harm to another sentient being. This is not about personal lying to protect your information and privacy. The theft of information is about lying to deceive someone into taking action that leads to harmful ways.
According to the definition of what is a real crime, a well-organized group of sadistic ruling psychopaths has committed theft out in the open worldwide scale. These parasitic psychopaths and their foot minions run the world, and the rest of the sheeple have to comply for fear of violence. What actions have these parasitic psychopaths committed against the citizens of the world? 1. A monopolizing power to extort human labor through taxation. 2. The medical tyranny against the individual's health and right to their body. 3. The parasitic monopoly to print fiat money out of thin air, to charge an interest rate out of nothing.
4. The fiat money was used to front their cronies, heirs, and bloodlines to keep their oligarchy circles in power.
5. They control and dictate what kind of science and technology humanity should know and should have.
6. Forever inventing imaginary foreign threats to keep the parasitic system in power.
7. Forever creating division among the human race with deceit and misinformation.
8. Indoctrinate children to become artificially obedient to authority.
9. Committed violence against citizens' rights for no just cause. 10. Sending thugs in uniform to rob, assassinate, and/or kidnap peaceful citizens. Government means to control the mind. The word government means mind control. It etymologically originated from the ancient Latin language. It splits into two words, 1. Governance, meaning to control, and 2. Mens or mentis, meaning mind. These are the despicable people that run our world and claim ownership over us. It does not make common sense for us to obey them, fight for them, and die for them. It is time that we fight for ourselves, our self-determination, and our freedom.
Chapter 13. Politic is only a stage show to keep the human sheep entertained and confused.
13. Politic is only a stage show to keep the sheeple entertained and confused. Politicians are clowns on the world stage to entertain the sheeple. They give the sheeple the illusion of freedom. The political actors and the celebrity news reporters need our time, our energy, and our focus on them. They need us to pay attention to them as the authority of information and of hope to solve our problems of the world. As we pay attention to these clowns, they are talking heads to string us into their web of illusion. As we get mesmerized by their drama and narratives of confusion, we become a passive participants, consenting to their words of lies and disinformation. The first step is not to participate in their ritualistic clown show, meaning their political system. The right-left newspeak narratives. In the United States of America, the two-party system is a two-headed snake from the same snake. Republicans are about the daddy complex. They want law and order, protection, strong authority figures, warfare, less taxation, more regulation, and more control like fascism. Democrats are about the mommy complex, and they want to be nurtured by demanding freebies and government-funded programs like healthcare, welfare, social programs for the disenfranchised, more taxation, more regulation, and more control like communism.
Warfare and welfare are controlled by the same agenda. The dark occultists rule the masses behind the scene of their frontline puppet figureheads reading the teleprompter to the masses. The 1% parasitic psychopaths, behind closed doors, would laugh at how stupid their 99% human slaves are. Sometimes the communist news network would mock the slaves, like a parent scolding their child, to listen to the experts and the scientific authority for your good and well-being and the safety of others, and if you do not, then you are a selfish person. This is like the Orwellian dialogue from the dystopian novel 1984. The doublethink mind control. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. If the government experts convinced you under the guise of health and safety to give up your freedom to stay safe, to give up breathing air in exchange for breathing a bacteria muzzle cloth, to believe that every human is a potential biological hazard, then they have convinced you that 2 + 2 = 5. You are under their mind control, trained to think the doublethink narrative of the human cattle, and you are perfectly content with waiting under the dark master's table for a piece of scrap. A scrap is thrown at you from the table.
Quote from Thomas Jefferson, "Those who would trade safety for freedom deserve neither."
As long as people have wrong concepts about themselves being powerless, as long as they continue to obey the government as their lawmakers, their protector, and their provider, they will continue to stay in the slavery system as human cattle while they wait in hope for better treatment from their rulers.
Hope is a mental drug to keep the humans waiting in their chains and confinement for a better tomorrow when a savior will come to rescue them from the dark force if a savior is coming. The requirement to end slavery starts with a mental shift toward higher consciousness, the work toward aligning our thoughts and our actions to the truth, and the wisdom to take the right action to change the human condition. The truth is indifferent to what we believe, feel, or perceive to be true or false. The truth is about objective reality. What we manifested into the world based on our perception, feeling, and belief system is our subjective reality. For instance, if we believe in a wrong knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, we will manifest into our subjective reality the wrong action based on our ignorance of the true path of objective reality or objective morality. A wrong knowledge of what is right and what is wrong will always lead to ignorance of what the actual truth is. As a massive group of people believes in the same belief system on a massive scale, we as a massive group will manifest that belief system into the physical realm, such that we can co-create our subjective reality together as well as an individual unit. Objective reality is the universal spiritual principles created by the creator of the universe, the creator of all that is. Such spiritual laws that govern the universe are written in a book entitled the Pleiadean, the 7 Hermetic Principles. The creator of all that is, the universal spiritual laws, does not care what we do here on earth, because what we choose to do is our free will choice, but we do not have the free will choice to escape the laws of the creator of the universe. The truth and objective morality are indifferent to our belief system and our subjective reality. The creator of the universe is the laws of creation and is indifferent to our belief system of a personal God, being a loving God or being a jealous God. The creator of spiritual laws of the universe is the principal laws itself, is omnipresent in spiritual and energy, and is not a personal God to meddle in the affair of the earthlings. Those gods and goddesses that meddle with the affairs of humans on earth, as written in the religious texts of the world, are not the creator of the universe.
Although in the history of humankind, These gods and goddesses imposed themselves as the more superior species than the human, the more technological advanced than the human, and the creator of the human species by way of genetic technology. They too are subject to the universal laws of the creator of all that is.
These gods and goddesses have a soul as well as the humans they have created into existence that has a soul. Even though these off-world beings have instilled within our mental states a fake reality and a demigod to harvest our human souls, they and we all are equally subject under the laws of the creator of the universe, and there is no free will to escape the spiritual laws of the universe. How can we overcome the evil of the demigods, who imposed themselves as the ruling monarchy or as the government of the world, to keep humans under their slavery system? The answers: knowing the knowledge of the truth and objective morality, and the free will to choose right action over wrong action is required from the collective mind. When our collective minds input a false belief system that is not in alignment with the truth, as a result, the output of our collective behaviors will result in the carrying out the wrong actions, which will lead us to collectively co-creating the cause of our suffering within our society, and we as a group will continue the cycle of spiritual prison on planet Earth.
The right knowledge and right behaviors lead to a shift in higher consciousness, which leads to freedom for all sentient beings on Earth. When we align our behavior according to the truth, the objective reality of what moral principles are, we become free from ignorance. Ignorance is the root of all evil. As a collective society chooses to live by the true principles of objective morality, we co-create behavior of peace and harmony together, which leads to freedom in our society. The more moral a society becomes, the more free society will become. Everything is mind. The all is mind, from the Hermetic teaching.
The right knowledge and right behaviors lead to a shift in higher consciousness, which leads to freedom for all sentient beings on Earth. When we align our behavior according to the truth, the objective reality of what moral principles are, we become free from ignorance, which is the root of all evil. As a collective society chooses to live by the true principles of objective morality, we co-create behavior of peace and harmony together, which leads to freedom in our society. The more moral a society becomes, the more free society will become. Everything is mind, the all is mind, from the Hermetic teaching.
Look, you can see the top there, it's cracked. Their sacred geometry is now ruined.
Interesting, about 4 o'clock in the morning, someone blew up the Georgia Guidestones. Unfortunately, they didn't collapse the entire edifice, only one column of them. I'm assuming, I'll just put it out there, I'm assuming that it's the column that had the population control parameters on it that said they wanted to reduce the world to 500 million. I mean, I don't know if that's written on all of the edifices, but I know it was written on one. Maybe it was written on all of them. Maybe it was the same message just written all over it, and there was just that one section that was written in English. I don't know, but I'm assuming that's the one that was destroyed. It's a shame they didn't bring the whole thing down.
The end of Part 6 of 8.